$894,000 up for grabs today. We're at the final table of a $25,000 buy-in, featuring crushers like Kevin Rabichow, Justin Saliba, and oh, that's me. I'm somehow in here, luckboxed my way into this thing, and we're going to compete for it all the glory, the trophies, and almost $1 million. This is my biggest opportunity yet and a career-defining moment. Will I fumble the bag or continue my sun run this final table? Only one way to find out. Let's shuffle up and deal. Here at this final table, I have crept up to 3.4 million in chips, sitting comfortably in third place. I will have to say, if you haven't seen the journey up until this point, click the link in the description below where you can see everything from part 1. All right, here at this final table, definitely trying to be cautious as there are some short stacks to bust and ladder for pay jumps. And in this next clip, you'll see Justin makes a very sick river bluff for most of his stack with the ace jack. Kevin Rabichow makes an even sicker call with pocket fives. And all of a sudden here, the dynamics have shifted. Kevin is now in the massive chip lead in the driver's seat of this tournament, and Justin is a very short stack. Now everyone's even more cautious, now waiting for Justin to bust, and in this next clip, you see ace 5 is at risk versus another player's ace 9, and ace 9 ends up winning, and we have the very first knockout and elimination of this final table. GG's to Justin Saliba, a good buddy of mine and a very, very good player. And now here we are, 8 players remain. After dinner break, it's my turn to knock out a short stack here. We have another player named Justin shoves for 2 big blinds. I'm in the small blind with pocket fives. I decide to rejam and isolate against the big blind player, and we see it's a flip. Pocket fives versus his king 10, and when the flop comes king on the window, unfortunate here. We don't get the pay jump as my opponent doubles up. The short stack lives on. I lose 2 big blinds, which isn't a big hit. But here we go. In the next hand, we have another all-in ace 7 versus ace 3. Ace 7 looking pretty good, and ace 3 at risk. Ace 3 ends up losing. We are now 7-handed, and I've locked up a 6-figure score so far in this $25,000 buy-in. Granted, it is only 4x the buy-in, but hey, it's a really big score. The buy-in's really big, and so is this payout that we've locked up. All right, time to get into some non-all-in hands. Here we have Kevin Rabichow as the massive chip leader, open things up on the button. He's been very active, putting pressure on everyone else at this table. Small blind folds, and I have 8-6 suited here on the big blinds. Certainly going to defend this one versus a min raise as it's very playable. And we're off to a flop of ace 7-4 to spades. Not the worst flop in the world. I have a gut shot, but not a good one. I check it over to Kevin, and he bets 150,000. It's an extremely small bet of 1.5 big blinds, and I'm thinking to myself here, am I able to fold this at all? Should I fold this on such a small bet? Obviously given a pretty good price, but I don't have the best gutter in the world because I don't have backdoors. But yeah, I don't know. I want to play some hands here, and why not? As Kevin will be raising extremely wide on the button here. Little did I know he had kings, but here we go. I float one and peel a turn. Let's go to a turn which comes the 7 of clubs. And well, this is a pretty gin card to bluff on. If I'm floating with 8-6, I have 2 cards surrounding the 7. I have a lot of hands here that would call on the flop, and most of them would actually be a 7. So thinking that this is a very good bluff card to start leading out on, I decide to rep it and start off with a bet of 225,000. Pretty small bet here, as I would be betting this size with a value as well. Just one of those things where if there are other short stacks at the table, you don't want to bloat up the size of the pot, and I don't want to do that here with 8 high. Anyways, as you can see, K-Rap, obviously with a very good hand, he comes along and makes the call. Oh boy, let's see a river. River comes the deuce of spades, so the flush draw completes, and it's another card that I think I could continue bluffing on. As the big blind player, I will be very suited heavy, I'll have tons of flush draws, and look, 8 high is just the worst hand I'll ever have here, so I'm going to lead again, putting 350,000 chips into the middle. This isn't the biggest bet in the world. It's 3.5 big blinds, but it is massive in terms of hoping to win this pot. Winning the pot would give me lots of momentum and add a big chunk of my stack, especially against the chip leader at the table. If I get called though, and if Kevin calls my bet, my stack takes actually a pretty big hit, and then I'm clumped into the rest of the pack of around 20 big blinds. Anyways, Kevin takes his time, actions on him, and he ends up folding the kings. 8 high for the win. I needed this one so bad. I get to extend my lead versus the other players at the table, and I chip up, getting closer to Kevin's stack. About an hour of play goes by, and we arrive in this spot. Once again, Kevin opens things up to 250,000 from the hijack, still 7 left. He's applying max ICM pressure as the chip leader, and I've been a little bit quiet, and I peel ace-6 of hearts on the button. Most times here, I'm sure I will certainly be folding this, but given Kevin's frequencies right now, I think there's merit to try and target the bottom of Kevin's opening range and 3-bet this. I have good removal versus strong hands. Holding an ace is a good card to have, so let's get dicey. I 3-bet him to 600,000. Action folds around to Kevin, and looks like once again we're running into it because he has a good hand and he ends up making the call. So we've got a big pot brewing here that is worth a lot of actual US dollars in the middle. Anyways, we're off to a flop, which comes 7-5 deuce 2 hearts. Oh my goodness, what a sick flop to see. Got the nut flush draw, a bunch of low cards on the board that shouldn't connect with Kevin too much, and it's good enough for me to, I guess, get stacks in. Kevin checks it over to me, and I'm certainly betting this with the nut flush draw, hoping to fold out all of his nothing holdings, his suited broadways and random ace highs that beat me, all that stuff. So I bet 325,000 here, and to my surprise, I don't love this action because Kevin ends up making the call, which I don't feel great about. Thinking a lot of the hands he'd be calling with are pocket pairs, over pairs to the board that will have a tough time folding. Anyways, we're going to the turn, which comes the 5 of spades. Brings in the backdoor flush draw, and the board is paired, which is supposed to be better for me as the 3-better. Of course, I just wanted to see a heart and make my life easy, but when Kevin checks here on this turn, now this is a dicey situation. On one hand, I just need to bet. My overall 3-betting range and hand wants to just get folds, but the issue is how much do I want to bet? Like I said, Kevin's range when he calls on this flop has a lot of pocket pairs that probably won't be folding, and I don't want to ICM torch and bust myself by shoving into an overpair and going all in here because there are lots of smaller stacks at the table and making pay jumps is massive in this tournament. So I think things over, and ultimately I decided to pick the middle route between checking and between all in, and that is going to be a small size. I bet 600,000, and the moment that I put my bet out, I immediately regret it and wish I went all in. Just got a feeling that if Kevin somehow has a pair and goes all in, then now I'm in a miserable spot. But we see Kevin's cards. We see that this is going to work as Kevin luckily folds his ace high, better ace high at that. And yeah, I found a lucky flop, found a lucky turn. They didn't connect. And overall, it's a very nice pickup of a lot of chips. This one went my way. A few hands later, we see a massive all-in. Ace-Jack versus Pocket Queens. Off to Jesse and Henry with the call on this one.
About to ladder 24,000 should Taylor spike an ace. And he has.
Wow.
Ace 6-6.
Wow.
King of Hearts on the turn.
Pretty sick turn card.
Whoa, what is going on? Slow roll from the dealer.
Like when it glitches. And then it always...
But the card, 3 of diamonds, does eventually roll off on the river, and Taylor not only scores a KO, but chips up.
Ace-Jack ends up spiking an ace, and all of a sudden we are 6-handed. We played 7-handed for over an hour and a half or so, but here we are now, final 6 players, nice little pay jump in this $25,000 buy-in, and here we are cruising along. About 20 minutes later, we see another all-in. Pocket tens versus king, queen, and we see pocket tens holding, and just like that, after over an hour of play 7-handed, we are now 5-handed, securing another massive pay jump, and the 5-handed battle begins here. This hand I'm going to go over might be one of the most talked about and biggest hands of the tournament series for me here. And let's get into it. Kevin opens up the action on the button to 600,000. Once again, battling against K-Rab, I peel king-queen offsuit in the big blind. I'm second in chips, and Kevin's first in chips. I'm happy to see a flop here, not going to do anything crazy. We're off to a flop of queen 8-7 rainbow. Overall, a very, very good flop for me. I check it over to Kevin, and he bets 250,000. Here, I'm just sitting with one of the best hands I'll ever have in this spot. It's very valuable to win hands right now, whatever the hell I have. So, best one pair, I have backdoor trip draws, backdoor quad draws, certainly a possibility. So with King Queen, obviously I am going to be check raising, and I check raised to 700,000. I think for the most part, my hand is going to be ahead a high percentage of the time, and on some good runouts, I certainly can get some more value from worse, and maybe even double up at that. Anyways, he doesn't end up folding here to my check raise. He makes the call, so over 2 million into the middle. This is a massive pot that might determine the winner of this tournament. We're off to a turn, which comes the Jack of Hearts. I have many mixed feelings about this turn here. On one hand, look, this should be a better card for my check raising range. I improved to 2-pair a lot. I improved to straights a lot. But on the other hand, my specific hand, King Queen, couldn't have asked for a worse card to come out. I lose to all of that I just said. So trying to think things over, I actually opted on the check option. I opted to check here because I really hate this card, and maybe Kevin likes it. And guess what? Kevin ends up seeming to like it, because Kevin ends up betting 550,000. Disaster situation for me, in my opinion, because it's a small sizing on the turn. I'm obviously given a very good price, but it does set up a very easy river all in with how much I have in my stack. And all right, we're facing a 550,000 bet here, and let's think about this. What hands do I beat right now? I beat Queen 10, I beat Queen 9. Do those hands take this line and even bet on this turn? Potentially, but, kind of would be like a merge block bet because they have top pair, which is a pretty good hand. They have a 9 or 10, which blocks some straights. There aren't that many combos of those Queen 10 and Queen 9 hands here that exist because, well, I have a Queen myself. So hands that I also beat would be like Jack 9 or Jack 10, but that's about it. Not even sure if Kevin's going to be betting here with a second pair in this spot after I check raised. So do I think Kevin's going to be playing these hands this way? In my position, unlikely, considering I check raised flop. So what else is out there? I'm thinking things over, and well, all the other hands that exist are hands that crush mine. Sets, 2 pairs, straights, Queen Jack, everything I'm drawing very, very slim against, or actually drawing dead against. So does this mean I have to make a hero fold with basically one of the best hands I'll ever have here, King Queen? I think things over, and ultimately now I'm thinking I'll look like an absolute idiot if I'm wrong here. I'm thinking of making the fold button, but here's the issue about playing on live stream and making content. I make hero decisions all the time. I love hero calling, but hero folding, if you actually fold the winner, I am going to get flamed and torched forever. But here it is. It's my tournament. These are my decisions, which means also my mistakes if I make them. I close my eyes, I go with my gut, and just fold? You can see in real time, I absolutely hate this decision, but I did it. And, looking at the cards, I am so glad that this was just the right decision. I'm guessing, and I guess I guessed correctly this time. Luckily, I make a pretty big laydown. Kevin takes it down, and he wins with his nuts straight. My read was somewhat correct, I guess. I was drawing dead, so nice hand to Kevin here. Sometimes, on rare occasions, folding isn't the most boring option. After my hero fold, we see a very significant all-in. Jack 8 versus Ace 10, the 2 short stacks at the table going after it. Regardless of the result, it's going to be a good one for me as one of them will be eliminated, and we see that Ace 10 ends up winning. Ben is now crippled to a very short stack, and the 2 deals later, you'll see Ben is all in for his last 2 big blinds and ends up going 3 ways to a flop. And we see that he is ending up to be eliminated by Taylor with 2-pair 5-4. And just like that, our 5-handed battle ends. And we're 4-handed, locking up another pay jump, a very significant amount of money. And I am unfortunately last in chips now, but I've got to find a way to climb up. But the good news is I've locked up 226,000, almost my biggest tournament score to date. And there's more to get after. I want to give a big shout out to my rail here. You see videoed Nitus, Tom, and the poker vlog godfather, Andrew Nemi, staying up way too late after they bagged day 2 of the $10,000 buy-in. Also, Carl, not pictured in here. Thanks for the support, boys. This next hand comes along where I'm blind versus Taylor, and he starts with a limp, and he has the chip lead as well. Here with 8-6 offsuit, I decided to check because it's a pretty bad hand, but we'll see a flop which comes queen 6-7 2 spades. My opponent checks it over to me, and with bottom pair, definitely not a bad spot to be in, but not a good spot where I want to put chips in the middle. I decide to check this one back. Turn comes the king of hearts, and Taylor now decides to bet one big blind of 200,000. Definitely could actually fold here in my head, because I don't think the difference between calling and folding is really a huge difference and worth that much. So, you know, definitely could consider folding, but I got to think this is a $25,000 buy-in, and you've just got to take every single spot that's close. So if I think there's any EV to be gained in calling, I'm doing that. So I make the call for one big blind, and we're going to the river, which comes a queen. Spades ends up breaking out, and also less likely that my opponent has a queen or a pair that beats mine. But Taylor doesn't care about that. He actually ends up betting big, overbetting the pot to 1.5 million. Oh my God. Trying to piece this one together. Let's take our time. The opponent seems to be only repping a queen here with this massive sizing. I just don't see my opponent doing this with the king. It would be risking way too much. It would be an overplay. So he's got a queen or he's got nothing. Missed draws, missed whatever random bluffs that he could have. So let's think about this. Usually when you bet big and overbet the size of the pot, that means you're actually supposed to have more bluffs than value combos. And I've watched my opponent play blind versus blind once. He had middle pair and actually ended up betting on the flop. So that's a sample size of 1, but maybe he usually just bets when he has something on the flop. My hand serves to be a decent/poor bluff catcher here when I look at my hand, mainly because holding an 8 here blocks some of the missed draws that my opponent would be bluffing with, like, 9-8 for a missed open ender. So maybe I'm stubborn, maybe I'm a hero. I guess there's only one way to find out, which is a flick of a call, and I am stubborn. This time, I'm not the hero, and I see the bad news, and this is not good. My opponent has trips. I am now an extremely short stack. Last in chips out of the 4 players remain, and things are looking really gloom now. One orbit goes by, things aren't looking good, and Kevin's opens up on the button once again. I have about 6 big blinds in my stack, and I see a suited wheel ace. Let's spin? Who knows? I go all in, and my opponent isn't folding. That much I know. Definitely don't have much fold equity here, and he makes the call with king 9 offsuit. It's a sweat. My first time at this final table, all in for my tournament life. Let's fade the outs.
5 to come. Rampage looking to hold with the ace high. So far, so good on the 10-4-4. Queen of spades on the turn.
You called for a
It's
queen?
never easy. Goes from 6 outs twice to 10 outs once. Kevin looking for a king, jack or 9 to eliminate Rampage.
It's always a sweat.
Never easy, especially when you're playing for $894,000.
They can't make it easy. This is where champions are made. And he sneaks away.
7 of spades on the river. Rampage with the double.
25.
All right, river comes clean. I'm still alive, but I am still the shortest stack, but it doesn't matter. It feels like I have a second life here after a much, much needed double with the ace 3. After that double up, we're on a break, and we are here, returning to the action. The next spot here, I'm on the button with under 10 big blinds, and I look down at a very pretty suited connector like this. All right, this is a spot where I'm going all in. This hand serves really well as a jam. If I get folds, then I chip up massively, picking up 2.5 big blinds. And if I get called, then usually I'll have good equity against overcards. So I'm all in. For my tournament life, then snap. I run into a brick wall. Small blind player Elijah picks up ace queen offsuit, and oh man. Another all in for my tournament life. I have about 40%-ish. Let's flip. Giving Henry and Landon the mic here. Let's see what they have to say about it.
Spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel, 60-40. Rampage wearing the luck box hoodie. Can he get lucky here with the 9-8 of diamonds to stay alive?
I find a huge flop, and you can actually see I'm in the lead with 9 high. Granted, none of the lead matters because I need to hit my outs. Turn, bink. But it's not over yet because the small blind has the ace of diamonds. Need to fade, please. It's a red river, but the 3 of hearts. Let's fucking go. So much life right now, and suddenly Elijah is the shortest stack. A real sudden change of events where I have chipped up to be in the mix here for sure in this battle, and Elijah is crippled after losing a very unfortunate flip, and I'm rooting to ladder up playing 3-handed, but we gotta get Elijah to bust first, and the very next shuffle we see Elijah picks up ace deuce of diamonds with now his 6 big blinds. He goes all in and everyone folds, so he picks up the blinds here, and 2 deals later we see Kevin raising with pocket 7s. Elijah looks down at ace 10 suited in this hand, obviously plenty good enough for him to get it all in with. It's a flip for a ladder, and I'm rooting for 7s so hard here to secure some extra money, and we see a pretty clean flop in this all in. And another clean turn. Come on, just fade the river, and it is GG's to Elijah. He played extremely well, and very unfortunate that the all-ins didn't work out for him. That's just how poker goes sometimes. He got to sun run the biggest all-ins, and he locks up 226,000. Meanwhile, the rest of us 3 has locked up $320,000. That is a very, very big ladder. About $100,000 pay jump, locking up my biggest cash ever in a tournament. And let's get right into the mix again. The very next shuffle, as Elijah's getting up, I see ace 4 offsuit. No small blind, only a big blind here. And when Taylor folds, I have about 14 big blinds. Yep, offsuit ace. This is going to be an all in. I shove, and I'm just hoping that Kevin finds a quick fold, but he doesn't. Oh, God. Kevin doesn't snap fold, and he actually ends up calling, which is horrible news for the ace 4 offsuits. And he shows ace 9 suited. You can't hear the audio here, but I'm telling my rail and friends here that I'm actually okay with losing this one. Look, I just secured a $100,000 pay jump when I shouldn't have. So, you know, I'm massively behind. It's all in the percentages. It's all up to the poker gods now. Will I suck out, or will I just happily take home 3rd place? And the flop comes a 4. Oh my God, the poker gods said you are sitting back down. You're in the mix.
That hoodie gonna sell out tomorrow, I got a funny feeling.
It's a very sick design, honestly. Very minimalist. It's got the box around clean text. I'm a fan.
The luck box hoodie certainly does have its magical powers, and yeah, I end up rivering trips on the river, and holy shit, massive suck out for a massive high equity pots, and I'm very, very much in this game now. You can see I have almost 30 big blinds. I'm second in chips. We're alive. The next hand you see, I'm in the big blind. I decide to 3-bet shove over Taylor's open for about 30 big blinds, and he folds his suited connector. I chip up in a big way, and then followed by the very next shuffle again, so 3 hands in a row. Taylor opens. I see another premium, 3-handed. King, queen of diamonds. I'm out of position. Can't imagine it's that bad to go all in. So I say those 2 magical words, and both players quickly fold. All of a sudden, 3 hands into this 3-handed battle. I am the chip leader, and the idea of applying max ICM pressure starts to kick in because Kevin is a little short stacked. Taylor might be a little caged because he wants to secure that pay jump, of course, and ladder up. And here, this is the plan I'm arriving to. In this spot, we see Taylor limping in the small blind after Kevin folds on the button, and as the overwhelming chip leader at this point, I can aggressively go all in, and Taylor won't be able to call off too wide, as him and Kevin have similar stacks. Jack 8 suited, can't be bad. I go all in and shove, and Taylor snaps. Oh no, disgusting look on my face, and I see that it's somewhat of a flip, although my suit is covered. Still, a 37% dog. Can I fire up the luck box one more time, please, dealer? The flop, king, queen, 7, 2 clubs. Well, damn. I guess if we saw a flop, some money was going in regardless until the turn a jack. Going from a 20% dog to a 70% favorite. I still have plenty of outs to fade, but I am now in the lead. River 8, 2 pair for me. Brick City enough to win this pot, and the suck out comes to bring this match to heads up. I'm sun running at the perfect time. GG's to Taylor, who really caught the short end of the stick here in this all in. And all of a sudden, Kevin and I have locked up over $500,000. A $500,000 score. What the hell? And a massive $375,000 heads up match. And it's against one of the best heads up players in the world, Kevin Rabichow. Good luck to me, I guess. I'm a little scared, a little intimidated, but at least I have a very big chip lead to play with. The first highlight of this heads-up match starts here. Kevin limps from the button, and my hand of 10-3 offsuit is just so bad. Definitely can go between raising or checking, though, because of how bad it is. So this time I decided to raise to $625,000. In hindsight, sizing's probably a little too small. Should have been like $1 million, but oh well, in-game I messed up. Anyways, Kevin makes the call with his suited hand. We're off to a flop of 6-4-4, 2 diamonds and a spade. This is quite a brick of a flop. I don't think Kevin's going to connect much here, but my 3 is somewhat relevant as, you know, it's kind of connected to the board, so I keep bluffing. I start off with a small bet of $375,000. And no surprise here, Kevin's going to continue with an overcard and backdoor flush draw. We're off to a turn which comes a 3 now. Oh, now at this point, my brain starts to spaz because I just don't know what to do. I don't play heads up much. My opponent plays lots of it. And here, I think a pair is very good for me because pairs are hard to make and you can't complain about turning a pair. Now with some showdown, I don't think I need to bluff, so I decided to check, and Kevin ends up checking back. Now we're going to the river, which comes the deuce of spades. Here, honestly, pretty good card to see. Granted, any 5 is a straight now, but with some showdown, I check it over to Kevin. And on to Kevin, thinking about his decision for a while. He ends up betting, and it's a pretty annoying amount, to be honest. He bets 1.1 million into the middle, about half pot, and I am just in the blender between calling or folding. On one hand here, look, there's 4 to a straight on the board, so I lose to a lot. Any 5, 4, 6 in their hand beats me. And outside of that, I think I actually beat everything else, as my 10 kicker is really good and strong against most of his 3s and bluffs. So I'm confused. I'm getting a good price to call here, so at the end of the day, I guess we're going to have to see it. I flick in a call and get shown King 3. Ew. Disgusting value bet by Kevin. And once again in this spot, he's showing why he's one of the best at this game. And now I'm feeling completely owned, taken to Value Town to the max. It feels bad after losing this one, and on top of that, the chip lead gap is closing in. All right, 2 shuffles later after the 10-3 hand, we're getting involved again. This time Kevin limps from the button, and I check my option with 4 deuce suited. We're going to see a flop of 9-4-3 2 hearts. Middle pair, not a bad spot to be in. I check it over to Kevin, and he bets 250,000. Think I have an easy decision for me to call here, although I really won't like any turn cards unless it's like a deuce or 4. But let's see what happens. Turn comes the Queen of Diamonds. As suspected, I don't love this one. I check again, and Kevin now ramps up the pressure with a bet of 1.5 million. Overbetting the pot, dear God, this is not a fun spot to be in. I think with this specific spot in my hand, it's very close between calling and folding, and granted, with the sizing of Kevin's overbets, probably more merit to fold, to be honest. So it's questionable if I'm even ahead here or not, and if I am, it's really hard to hold onto a river bet if he shoves. But again, once again, the principle of overbets means a lot of bluffs, and Kevin will certainly be applying the correct frequencies here, so I'm going to be sticky here on this turn and come along one more time. With the big pot brewing, let's see what happens on the river. It is the 6 of spades, basically a brick, a card that I actually don't hate seeing. Anyways, I check it over to Kevin. Please, check back, screaming check in my head, and he gets the message telepathically somehow, and checks, finds the give up with the jack deuce, and luckily my pair of 4s will win this one. It'll make up for the last pot at least, and we're back on track, scooping up a big one. After a few more hands, we arrive in this spot. Kevin on the button starts with a limp of 300,000. His stack is at 7 million-ish, and blinds have increased, so it's about 24 big blinds. And I look down at King Jack of Hearts, and this is a premium in a heads-up spot. Through these heads-up hands you've seen, I clearly cannot outplay Kevin post-flop. And in order for me to win this thing, I gotta rely on variance and all of my practice at winning all-ins. So hopefully I can win one and ship this thing, so I go exactly for that route. It's a big all-in, but I think it's my only shot to beat this guy. I shove. And when I shove, Kevin doesn't snap fold. Kevin, what are you doing? Counts out his stack and actually calls. Oh my god, here it is for it all. If I win the whole freaking tournament, and we see I'm dominating him. King Jack versus his Queen Jack for the whole tournament and $900,000. I've won all of my all-ins from behind. Can I hold one more time? Henry, Landon, call this one, please.
Go from a 3-1 dog to a 2-1 chip leader.
Don't say queen.
Rampage, by the way, chat, was down to 7 big blinds on the bubble. On the stone bubble was the shortest stack. Was nursing a 7 big blind stack for the better part of 2 hours. Now finds himself 2 cards away from claiming victory here in the WPT 25K high roller. Ace of spades on the turn. That is a card.
You have like 7?
Yeah, 7, 1, 7, 2.
Let me just pay you right now.
8-9-4 for the win. 1 card to come. Dealer. 4 diamonds.
Holy shit. I hold. Wow. An incredible feeling. I don't even know what to say. First off, GG's to Kevin. Of course, he's tough to play against and literally one of the best in the world. Just very, very lucky that I won that final all-in versus him. Another huge shout out to Tom, Andrew, Nitus, and Carl for staying up this late and sweating out the entire dub. Glad that you guys were in the winner's photo with me and glad I can make it worth it. But what the hell? $894,000, including a win and WPT trophy. Cool thing about this tournament, you get 2 trophies for the price of 1 win, along with battling a star-studded field of crushers in a $25,000 tournament where I had 100% of myself in. I will say, little note, I did give back all the investors money in a return who invested in my first bullet for believing in me. Anyways, that was just out of my own pocket, but overall, just really glad I can showcase this experience on the vlog. Big thank you to everyone watching. Hit that like button, guys. Come on. If you want to hear my entire thoughts on the whole experience, I made a video on my personal channel. There's another link down in the description below if you want to check that one out. It's just me talking about my thoughts right after the big win. And lastly, if you want to watch the entire stream produced by WPT, they put a lot of effort into this. It's super high quality, as you can see from this video. There's also a link down to it below to their YouTube channel. And one last thing, I'm selling a package on Stake Kings to a few large tournaments coming up in January. So if you want a sweat and a piece of the action and vlog, check out the package on Stake Kings. There's no need or no pressure to put up any money, but if you want to buy small fractions from like $10 and all the way up to $1,000 if you really want, feel free to do that. Anyways, I'm signing off for now. What an incredible journey. See ya.